Hey everybody, it's Moonfruit. As part of my recent trip to the Netherlands to attend Vivarium Maze, I also visited a few other stores while I was there. One of which was Dreamcorals, and let me tell you, there were so many cool corals that I couldn't possibly show and talk about every single one in this video. So here's a curated selection of my favorites. Enjoy the eye candy. The first group of corals that are some of my favorites are Fungias, Cycloceras, and anything of the likes. Dreamcorals had some really cool varieties that I have never seen before. This is my favorite color variation of any Cycloceras, right next to the famous Worldwide Corals Diablo Diaceras. Oftentimes corals are unjustly decorated with the term rainbow just to drive the price up, but these Fungias, however, truly deserve to be called rainbow, and that is whether you collect a few different ones and present them as a mix on your sandbed, or you find a particularly colorful specimen. I have a special place in my heart for all the corals that have something truly unique about them, and I was absolutely speechless when I saw this orange specimen with the black splatter. So does this incredible Cycloceras with a cleaner, grafted appearance. Sometimes it's just truly fascinating to see what Mother Nature can come up with. Splatter patterns are just a surefire way to guarantee that a coral is truly one of a kind. The single best disc coral there was hands down this grafted Heliofungia, which was almost perfectly half blue and half green. And if you look closely, you can even see that some of the tentacles along the center where the two halves meet are actually really nicely patterned with a mix of blue and green stripes. The next group of corals are Euphyllias, specifically hammers and torch corals. And guys, I don't know what to say, this was torch coral heaven. So many that if this were the first coral store you ever visited, you would have been spoiled for life and actually struggle to find another store that matches this selection. I was honestly blown away by all the differences in these gold torches. I really believe that it's all about different lighting, camera settings, etc. But seeing all of these under the same light through the same camera lens, it's crazy how many different ones there are. And I'm not even going to pretend to know the designer names of any of these because I have no idea. But if you do know the names, put them in the comments down below. And the same of course goes for green torches. They come with green tips, blue tips, pink, gold, and probably 10 other colors that are somewhere in between. And what's quite funny about Dreamcorals is that you get a really skewed perspective on the coral trade if you come here. You might actually be misled to falsely assume that green torches are actually the rare ones, with the black ones with pink tips being the rarest, just because of the sheer abundance of all the gold torches you can find here. And what else would you find down the road from Torch Heaven? It's Hammer Heaven, of course, and here you find all the hammers you have ever seen and then some, in both the branching and the walling variety. I'm personally a huge fan of these mottled gold and blue wall hammers, but if that is not flashy enough for you, they also have some green stem and yellow tip hammers right next to this very strange specimen that had very thick and elongated tentacles with very straight tips, which is quite uncharacteristic and different from the usual anchor shape that you would expect. If wall hammers are a bit too finicky for you, or you would just prefer a coral that grows a bit faster, you might want to take a look at these branching hammers. They look like straight up candy, and it really makes me sympathize with angelfish who can't resist taking a bite out of your corals like that. Gold tips with dark blue stems, peachy pink tips with gold stems, but my favorite for sure were those two with the blue stems leading up to a gold gradient and a super pink tip right next to the one that is just all blue and pink. Of course, flower pot corals are no strangers here, and the owner himself pointed out these super pretty green base with orangey gold tips gonies, which were just crazy, and whether it was on purpose or not, I love how you could pick just any combination of this ensemble of different color varieties and have a diverse instant Goniopora garden in any aquarium. But without a doubt, the best amongst the flower pot corals was this phenomenal grafted Goniopora. I don't exactly know how rare these are, but I certainly haven't seen anything like it ever before. I would put that in a display tank if I were them, but I believe it's actually for sale, so whoever picks that one up will be adding a crown jewel to their tank, that's for sure. If you enjoyed the eye candy so far, please subscribe to the channel and share the video. We just hit 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely crazy, and I would love to keep making these videos for you guys. Stick around as I save some especially meaty corals for the end. But until then, check out this super strange elegance coral with neon red mouths. Have you ever seen that before? And one day, a frag of these incredible Holy Grail Micromusa will hopefully find its way into my tank. They're just so cool and I absolutely love them. And this is just living proof that the people at Dreamcorals are coral nerds through and through. Why else would they set up a countertop nano tank like this in a store? I'd say it's a 2-gallon tank at best, and I was shocked by the fact that it's not just filled with some cheaper soft corals, but also some of the rarest zoanthids, bounce mushrooms and jawbreakers the trade has to offer. It's just so funny finding a tiny, yet no less colorful tank like this in such a large store. Now, staying on the topic of cool mushroom anemones, they were offering a superb collection of mushrooms, from literally the cheapest to the most expensive you can buy. Whether Discosoma, Rhodactis, Ricordia, they had some beautiful mushrooms that I'm sure anybody would find very hard to resist. A whole bucket of Ricordia humas with very unusual patterns, from like orange with green, orange with blue, even some gold ones. An exceptional specimen with a dark burgundy red color and this emerald green rim and this incredibly peculiar line of colored vesicles that went straight from the outside towards the mouth. It was just stunning. Oh, and of course they had a whole corner dedicated to the very popular Godzilla Yuma. But what could be more popular than the OG itself? Besides, perhaps, the King Bounce right next to it. I'll leave it up to you to decide which is nicer. And interstellar mushrooms shouldn't be missing in any aquarium, that's a fact. And if there was one particular mushroom that seems to be almost overabundant at Dreamcorals, it's the Jawbreaker Electus mushroom. They had them in all shades of gold, green, orange and red. Now, before I show you the highlights of the mushroom section, here's a really cool anemone you don't see every day. It's a green pizza anemone. It was easily the size of a dinner plate, as you can tell by my hand, and you can perfectly recognize that it's got its name from that perfect outline all around the edge that resembles the crust of a pizza. The undisputed highlight of the mushroom show was the elusive purple monster Jawbreaker, which was featured on Reef Builders a couple of years ago for its unique appearance and the record-breaking price tag of $10,000. This must be the crown jewel of every mushroom collection, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I did not even ask for the price. I'm assuming it's in the mid 4 figures at least, but you know what they say, if you have to ask, you can't afford it. And as if the Dreamcoral store was not yet big enough, they were expanding the upstairs area. So naturally, I took a sneak peek and found a lonely tank that was casually stocked with an army of red Signorina and a metric ton of rainbow chalice frags. Oh, and that corner? It was full of the nicest Blastomusa I have ever seen. That gold center blaster especially, I would have just loved to add that to my collection. The two corals up here that really took my breath away were this especially deep red and super wrinkly specimen with white stripes that we will most likely refer to as Indophilia because it looks much like a cross between a Signorina and an Acanthophilia. And the other one is this uber bright orange and yellow Signorina which practically glowed so bright it put all the other quote-unquote regular red ones to shame. Now feast your eyes on this absolute ocean of Trachyphilia. Every single one of these deserves to be in the spotlight, but I have to limit myself to pointing out a select few. This one just had to make the cut. Super puffy, and the liquid rainbow of colors just makes this a living piece of art. This selection is really making it hard to decide, but I've always had a sweet spot for those red and blue trachees, and this one just shined a bit brighter than the others, and that frosty blue center just really did it for me. This solid red one with the green center and the navy blue splashes all over was also one I wouldn't mind seeing every day in my own tank. And then there was the one with the weirdest and most indescribable color I have ever seen. If I had to pick one out of the whole bunch to take home with me, that would have been it. Because it was the only one with that color and I've never seen a golden trachea ever before. As always, I've saved the best for last, and those are the meat corals. And every single one of these could be the centerpiece of any reef aquarium. And seeing them piled up in one spot like they're just some coral. I mean, there are some crazy amounts of corals here, some rare species, but for some reason it really just hit me once I saw all of these. I really like this one. Tell me, is it red with a teal pattern or is it teal with a red pattern? I have no idea, but I love it. And then I think this super neon blue Acantho was the most eye-catching out of the whole bunch. And if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. If you would like, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite corals were, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.